We're about to dive into the epic 1500-year story of chess. It's a game that's done so much more than just sit on a board. It's crossed continents, it's shaped empires, and it's even gone head-to-head with computer minds. So, you probably know how the knight moves, right? But do you know how the game itself moved across the entire globe? I mean, its evolution is one of the most incredible stories out there, mostly because the game we all play today, well, it's almost nothing like how it started.
Okay, so to really get a grip on this evolution, we've got to start with the most iconic piece on the board. You know who I'm talking about? The queen.
I mean, in today's game, she is an absolute powerhouse. She just completely commands the board, striking from anywhere. Think about it. She has the power of the rook and the bishop combined. She's basically the ultimate weapon in your arsenal.
All right, but here's the twist. This is the central mystery we're diving into today. To solve it, we need to go way, way back in time, right to the very beginning. So, our journey starts in 7th century India. And back then, the game that would become chess wasn't really a game at all. It was basically a war simulation. It was called Chaturanga. And that name, it literally means 4 limbs, which sounds a bit strange, but it stood for the 4 real divisions of the Gupta Empire's army. You had your infantry, your cavalry, elephants, and of course, chariots.
And take a look at these. These are some of the earliest pieces we've ever found. I mean, they're a far cry from the polished sets we have today, right? These are carved, kind of abstract figures representing elephants, horses, and soldiers. It's literally an army in a box.
Okay, so from India, the game starts to travel. It moves along the old trade routes and makes its way to Persia. And this is a huge moment because there it was totally embraced, but also renamed and fundamentally changed. The Persians gave it a new name, Shatranj, and they introduced a rule that is so critical, we literally can't imagine chess without it today. It's the idea of warning the king when he's under attack. In fact, the Persian word for king is Shah, which is exactly where we get the word check. You can actually trace this whole cultural journey just by looking at the names of the pieces. So the Indian mantri, their minister, that becomes the Persian furs, a counselor. The ratha, or chariot, well, that becomes the rukh. See? Every single name change tells a little piece of the story. But here's the really crucial part. This game was so different from what we play. Let's go back to our mystery piece, the queen's ancestor, the furs. It could only move, get this, 1 single square diagonally. I mean, it barely moved at all. And the bishop's ancestor, the peel, had this really weird 2-square diagonal jump. As you can imagine, all this made Shatranj a much slower game.
But, just because it was slow doesn't mean it was simple. Not at all. The game was packed with complex tactics and some serious high-stakes drama. The best example of this is the legendary Dilaram problem. The story goes, a nobleman is playing a game, and he's about to lose everything, including his wife, Dilaram, who he'd put up in a wager. But just as he's about to resign, he hears her shout out this advice.
And amazingly, he listened to her. So first, a rook is sacrificed, check. Then the bishop, remember the pill, makes its signature 2-square jump, and that reveals a discovered check. Then he sacrifices the second rook. Unbelievable! A pawn pushes forward for another check. And then the knight swoops in for the final, stunning checkmate. Just like that, victory snatched from the jaws of defeat by an absolutely brilliant tactic.
So, for centuries, chess stays the slow, methodical game. But then it gets to Europe, and something absolutely dramatic happens. A full-blown revolution that creates the game we all know and play today.
Now, the changes didn't happen all at once. They started small. First, pawns got a power-up, able to move 2 squares on their first go. Then the e-pensant rule was introduced. But the real explosion, the game changer, happens around 1475. It's like European players just decided to supercharge the queen and the bishop, giving them the incredible sweeping powers that they have now.
And this great leap, as it's called, well, it changed everything. It completely transformed the pace, the feel, the very nature of the game. Suddenly, openings were critical, attacks were lightning fast, and the queen, finally, became the dominant force we know today.
All right, so with the rules finally set in stone, chess is ready for its modern era. It starts to evolve from just a popular game into a serious, globally organized sport.
And if you had to pick one year that marks the shift, it's got to be 1886. Why? Because that's the year Wilhelm Steinitz beat Johannes Zukertort in the first ever
official World Chess Championship. This match started a lineage of champions that, continues all the way to today.
But the evolution wasn't over. In the 20th century, chess faced maybe its greatest challenge yet, the machine. And the moment everyone remembers, of course, is 1997, the match between Garry Kasparov and IBM's Deep Blue. It was a true watershed moment, the day a computer finally proved it could beat the best human player on the planet.
So, after all that, after all these changes, new pieces, new rules, traveling across continents, even facing off against AI, what's left? What's the real, unchanging core of this game?
Well, the chess writer H.E. Bird put it really well back in 1893. He said the game has always had this noble character, this deep sense of history. And he's right. It's so much more than just a game. It's a genuine cultural tradition.
And you can literally see that tradition baked into the artifacts. I mean, look at these incredible 11th century pieces. They were made in Europe, but their design has these unmistakable Arabic influences from Chaturanga. It's a beautiful physical reminder of the game's long journey from Persia into Europe.
And I think that's the real heart of it, isn't it? After all that evolution, chess has stayed this kind of universal language. You can have a player from 7th century India and a player on their smartphone today. And in a way, they're connected. At their core, they're using their hands to tell the same fundamental story of strategy, tactics, and battle.
So it's gone from a slow-burn war game to a lightning-fast sport, now challenged by artificial intelligence. Chess has never, ever stopped evolving, which leaves us with one final, pretty fascinating question. What's the next move?